Hello, so I'm actually on for a bit. I didn't know if I was going to be on today, so I didn't really announce it. I think I said to the Discord group that, I could be on 7 or 8 p.m. sort of time. So I'm only probably going to do 30 minutes tonight. But I did want just a short stream, so there's no theme to this. But hopefully we don't get lots and lots of what's your favourite gas mask question? What's your favourite helmet questions? Do you own X? Do you own Y? So yeah, hopefully we get a few people on. I did remember to stream on Opera today rather than the Chrome, so that means the stream shouldn't sort of time out or whatever partway in. Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you, Henry, and hello to everybody. But yeah, there's no theme for this one. I said it's just going to be more of a... All right, cool, Mike. You all right? All right, Richard? But yeah, if you're streaming again at 9, Mike, I'll catch that, or at least catch some of that. But yeah, as I said, hopefully we can avoid the questions that get asked every stream being asked over and over again. But yeah, not loads to say at my end. There's a load of videos. I'll say what videos I want to get filmed next week, actually, while I think about it. Hype sent me some more masks as gifts, so I want to do videos on those. But I'll need to actually do a little bit of research into the masks themselves so I can come up with the proper names for them, rather than saying this random Chinese mask, that random Chinese mask. So there'll be those to do. I really do want to get a video done on the digital ionization chambers because I've still not got around to doing those yet. There's that yellow Israeli pepper I've not done a proper video on yet. Bit cold in here, no? Warm, unfortunately. Too warm. People have done it unknown Russian, but you'd have to be careful because obviously if you did it wrong, you could drown or whatever. So it wouldn't be something I'd mess about with. Yeah, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because that helps. Yeah, wait for some actual questions to come in. So you bought a new gas mask, but it's an old gas mask. I assume you just mean you bought a new gas mask for you. Hope you didn't pay too much for a GP5 because they're not exactly worth much. But, they are cool bits of history, aren't they? But, yeah, so I think next week that's going to be what the videos I get done are. One on that other Papa system. I need to do one on the Schmidt-Rubin action, actually, because I can do that on a video. I just can't do it on a live stream because of YouTube's weird rules. That's good news, Rich. So there's that. I want to do one on the digital ion chambers. What was the other thing I said? The Israeli Papa digital ion chambers, Chinese gas masks. I still want to get that video done on Rontgen measurements using a whiteboard. But again, that was one of those videos where every day I came to do it, I sort of couldn't be bothered to do a sort of 20, 30-minute sciencey video. When you say M3, do you mean 3M? If you mean 3M, I don't know what the secure click is. Is that just a new mask design? I have no idea, Tev. That sounds very strange. Yeah, I've got some new masks. I said I need to check what the actual proper names of them are, but that one's Hype sent me. A chain. What, like a chain around my neck? Now I've got a cross on that's on like a bit of paracord, but not a chain. I doubt Stalin that customs in most countries give a shit at all about DP5 check sources. I know, like, technically, I think under EU rules, they're not meant to be shipped with check sources, but it seems to be one of those things that somebody's made it as a rule, but it's never really enforced. Well, N95 is just a style of mask, isn't it? So saying Chinese N95 doesn't really say much. If it's an N95, if it's a proper N95, made to a decent standard, then it's fine. If it's a really cheap crap one, then it's not. It depends what would fit you, Al. A person whose name I don't even know I'm meant to pronounce. The best riot helmet I've got in terms of comfort is that Russian riot helmet there. The British Mark III riot helmets give you better head coverage, but they're not very comfortable. All right, hi. I was saying to people that you'd sent me those masks, but I've not got them in this room because I wasn't really planning on streaming today, so I thought, all right, I'll just do a short stream now. Yeah, you have to give me the names again and what those masks actually are. So there's like the green one, and there's the more modern looking one, and the filters, plus the whatever that TF1 style mask is that I've also got one of. Mine was the one with the crappy thing before, where it didn't make an airtight seal. No, I have no interest in Call of Duty Mobile. Not really, Nash. The Israeli blowers I've got at the moment, which are just kind of ones I'm being lent, are the green civilian one and the yellow civilian one. I'm pretty sure not with the main rubber Monty, but I know they've done ones of different coloured like voice trumpet covers, whatever you want to call them, and I think that's like to designate ranks for the police or something. At least with FM12s. I'm just going to quickly say this because it always annoys me when this gets asked loads and loads of times. How long will a filter last is a completely kind of irrelevant question because it depends on what you're exposing it to, how heavy your breathing is, what kind of filter it is. That's pretty cool then. So it's actually a proper modern design. But yeah, I'll get around to doing a video on them. It's just obviously at the moment I've been pretty busy with shit going on in real life. So So the MF1A, is that the sort of helmet style mask? I'm trying to remember the names of them. Against something like coronavirus, a filter doesn't expire if it's a particle filter. It eventually becomes too clogged and you can't breathe through it. P1 filters probably won't be good enough for tear gas. Yeah, because that's the one I had before. But yeah, the one I had was from that, like you're saying, prison factory, where the glue was really crap on it. So yeah, thank you for sending that. Hopefully this one actually makes an airtight seal. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Papa units, unknown Russian. Like I said, the Israeli civilian ones are pretty good for what they are, but the problem for me is I'd want a Papa that can move a decent amount of air and uses common batteries, where it seems lots of them either use really weird battery types or, don't move much air. If somebody's saying, am I okay? Yes, I'm okay. All right, there's a site called eBay. Go on there and buy gas masks. Right, I'm not going to answer the rarest gas mask thing I own because that's another question that gets asked on literally every stream, and then take your pick on rarity because different people argue different things for that. If you want to watch videos on things, if you ask the common questions like that, just search it on my channel, and I've got proper videos dedicated to that. What the old Polish MP5 Monty? No, but yeah, I think Poland did master that, right, Eltrix? I didn't know there was a Shums that had cheek filters. Yeah, but they're not being very clear on that. So, yeah, there was a suggestion they should use masks in shops because it seems silly that you need them for public transport, but not when you're in a shop. No, I'm not really willing to sell my VM44. I think it's behind me somewhere, actually. But I like the fact I own a VM44, but they're masks that sometimes turn up for pretty cheap on eBay, Altrix. I'll let you know if I spot one that's a decent price. Not really, Nash. Thanks for the offer, but yeah, the thing is with those is I've sort of seen Papa things like that, and I think with the right system, they're probably pretty cheap and convenient. But somebody like me, I don't really like after that escape hood incident, the idea of putting a plastic bag over my head. Yeah, that's the thing with all this stuff, isn't it, Arnold? Well, we could do something today or tomorrow and do it then, but let's leave it a week before announcing it. But yeah, personally, I really don't like putting plastic bag masks over my head after that escape hood suffocated me. Or started to suffocate me, whatever the word is. I don't know if it's like electrocution, where it's, if it's technically suffocated you, you're dead, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to unknown Russian unless you're in some sort of country that has a law against it. There's no laws in the UK about not wearing gas masks on public transport. Yeah, I think AJ, it would make sense if they made it mandatory, but again, I don't know how easy it would be to enforce. If somebody comes into like a shop without the mask on, whose job is it to tell them to put a mask on or leave? And then will shop, like minimum wage workers get hassled because they're telling people to do it and the managers can't be asked. I don't know how stuff like that would work unless it's sort of enforced everywhere. I didn't try to, AJ, but I nearly managed it. But yeah, the escape hood is that little like cheap disposable gas mask thing. But turns out when you open them, the valves inside don't open. So you're meant to stick your hand in it and like open all the valves up. And because I didn't do that, it appears fine except for your air. You're breathing in and out the same air because it's not bringing fresh air into the mask. What are you looking at? The Nixie tube clock. Ask Coeltrix. Right, device ticking away in the background. There's the Nixie tube clock you sent me. Is there something else you can see in the background that's doing something? I think that's the only thing in the background that's currently ticking. That clock, you can set the colours of it, but I like it just on that sort of red-brown sort of colour for the sort of Nixie tubes. Ah, right. What could that be? Geiger sound to clicking sound, other than my chair squeaking a bit. I can hear the computer fan. None of the Geiger counters are on back there. That's strange. I don't know. On that one, there's definitely blue. I'm pretty sure there's green as well. There's like a purple colour, and that red, like the red-brown. But I'd say that colour looks like the best classic sort of Nixie tube look. The purple ones look pretty good as well. Thank you very much, Altrix. He says, let me know if you ever find a VM44 CDV 805 or an M3A1. Also have a drink one with me. I might do a bit later, thanks, Altrix. I'm not going to have one just yet. I cut down quite a lot of alcohol yesterday. But thank you very much. I mean, the chances of me finding US masks in the UK is pretty slim. I mean, the VM44 is something that I might spot somebody selling on for a decent price, because they sometimes do, but yeah, US stuff is actually pretty hard to get over here. Yeah, I assume that's because it's meant to run on positive pressure, isn't it, Nash? Well, normally there's only the black and the grey GB5 style masks. If you mean there was a shum mask that was yellow and black, I suppose that's possible if it was an industrial mask. Is that the German one, Doska, with the massive like earmuff bits on it? I do know that is a real helmet, but I have no idea what it's called. I'm assuming it's some sort of ballistic helmet that the German army or basically German special forces used at one point. Daily Bioshock. What you need to do is go on eBay and look it up. What, like World War II era Fallschirmjäger helmets? No idea. Well, I wouldn't think in a modern day scenario. All right, your mother. There hasn't been any updates on that thing yet, so I assume that they're not posting it this weekend, just to let you know. I think we're pretty fucked out in terms of the economy aspect, because America's doing a good job, isn't it, at the moment, of having loads and loads and loads of new cases. Because, you know, the problem of, the economy's in trouble, better open everything back up. Oh, wait, you mean the virus is still there? But yeah, I'll let you know, your mother, when the next update happens, but I think it'll probably be Monday and Tuesday at this stage. Yeah, there's not much going on in the UK at the moment in regards to, you know, not coronavirus stuff. Henry, that doesn't surprise me if there's like people that just literally do weird mods to gas masks and then claim it's a rare mask and sell it for shitloads of money. I mean, you should never wear a mask over a surgical mask, because that defeats the point of doing it. Because the surgical mask will break it, making a proper seal with your face. Which one is the 3M 3200? Because I can never remember the 3M ones because they do so many variants with slightly different names. Oh, the one that has the like bit you can put on the front, either the vapor filters or like the pad filters. The mask itself is fine, but yeah, don't wear it over the top of a surgical mask. I've got British DPM camo on, so you can probably tell I like it. The camo is good. The material they printed it on is generally pretty shit. Like, these trousers rip really easily. I like the MP5, even if it can be a bit meh. The MP6 looks really good, but I've never used one. The old Polish Cold War masks are pretty much the same as any other sort of Soviet bloc communist masks. You know, some are all right, some are really meh. Yeah, DPM is one of those sort of just classic camos, isn't it? Like the old US Woodland. Oh, that's not really a fake MP5. It's just the original French mask. That's just not as good as the Polish copy. Right, let me see if I can get the link to open without crashing the stream. If it loads. At the moment, it's just loading. As said, though, I'll probably only be on another 10 minutes or so this stream. That's pretty compact, isn't it? Is that like just a little computer fan size thing? Yeah, that's quite a neat little unit, isn't it? It's a lot smaller than that massive Israeli one. I've seen that there's actually quite a cool thing that was on some 3M masks, I think, where it was like a kind of bit, like an electric pump there. That went to the mask, and then the filter went on the other side of it. And, you know, it was actually compact enough that it looked like you could sit on the mask without much problems. Yeah, you need to wear it over it, Jug. If you put a surgical mask over the exhale valve, it won't break the seal of the half face mask, and it will stop spraying out. But if you do it the other way around, it'll break the seal, and it won't work. If it moves enough air, that would be quite good. The only problem I have with a lot of Papa units is they never seem to move enough air for how bulky the units are. Thank you, Marcus. Right. I'll do a proper video on this, Marcus, but there's several kinds of radiation detectors. The most basic are Geiger counters. Well, not really the most basic, but they're kind of the most common on the market. So Geiger counters measure amount of counts per minute or counts per second, which is caused by radioactive decay. And then that gives you a dose equivalent based on the, based on the calibration. So the problems with Geiger counters, while they tend to be quite sensitive, they tend to overread or underread depending on what you're putting them on, because they calibrate them to a thing, where however many CPM equals whatever dose equivalent. Whereas ionization chambers, for example, are much better at giving you a much more realistic number of what the radiation is. But the problem is you need to get a good digital ionization chamber to get a good number off of it. The old analog ionization chambers tend to only start basically reading radiation when it's already at really dangerous levels. All right, Gretchen. I'm not going to be on very long, I'm afraid, today, but... Well, I think people are saying that a truck Campbell for consideration to other people. As in, if you're breathing out with a surgical mask on, it's spreading droplets less. I mean, even if you had a regular mask on with an exhale valve, that is going to slow down droplet transmission because they're going to mostly be hitting the valve. But yeah, if you had an actual surgical mask over the exhale valve, it wouldn't break the seal of the intake, but it would, stop you spraying germs as far. I mean, I don't know why I'd be asking that, Henry, in all honesty. Okay, is that the PG1, whatever it's called, or the PDE1, Benny? If so, that's the one that has so much talc on it, you'll have to spend literally hours getting the talc off. But yeah, I think it is pretty much a direct M17 collection. I mean, the Polish MP4 looks closest to the M17 in terms of like where all the parts are on the mask. I really don't know, Marcus. I mean, other than maybe designing reactor buildings, I really wouldn't know, actually. Yeah, it'd have to be bunker design, wouldn't it, really? Like bunker design or like reactor design. Because I couldn't really think how there'd be much other designing for that. Yeah, like Tev just said, designing bomb shelters. Yeah, I don't really know architecture other than making like silos, bunkers, and like power plants. Reactor buildings would actually factor in. Although, if you actually look up architecture on old nuclear bunkers, some of them are designed in a really cool way, like where they built, like Calvert Hatch is actually built on springs, and the idea is that like the shockwave from nuclear explosions, all the construction being on springs, means that it does less damage to the concrete if there's a shockwave going through it, because it actually moves with the springs, like they do on earthquake designs. And that's a good point, Steve. Yeah, to make him a bit more secure. Well, if you're paying that price, I'd definitely go for the Fushida, not the M17. But I sometimes do read out questions, Vafly. The issue is if the chat's moving too fast, I can't do that. And when you watch the video back, you'll see what I'm talking about, obviously, anyway. So I'll say the person's name, assuming that I can pronounce their name, and then I'll basically directly answer the question. So if you're watching the stream back, you will know what I'm answering. Harry, I have never actually handled a Turkish S6 clone. I know they exist, but I've never actually handled them. So I don't know how good or bad they are. Well, Jug, if you mean ones that are like airsoft masks, they're completely useless. If you mean like a Papa system on a real mask, then that's a completely different story. But yeah, I'm all right, Joseph. Other than today's been another day of planning funeral stuff and all that sort of stuff. It's been all right, in all honesty. But it's just one of those days. No, that's all right. But you can find out GP5 measurements just on Google. Oh, Peach. So they say doska, like doska rather than doska. Yeah, I wouldn't say doska because there's no H in it. Or UGH, like do. That's cool, Haku. Haku Nwaz, if I'm pronouncing your name right. They're at least actually pretty functional masks, those. Also, you probably want, like Hype saying, you probably want to overpressure your house as well, so the air pressure inside the house is greater than outside, so air can't flow in without it being pulled through a filter. Right. A Truck Campbell said, "What mask do you use for COVID?" In my car, I've got a lightweight FP 2.5, the Alpha Mesh, because that's very lightweight, makes a good face seal. So if I'm just literally getting out the car to go into a shop quickly, I normally put that one on. I've also got a couple of like the rubber half face respirators in my car, which again are like better seals and all that, but I don't like them on if I'm having them on for like long periods, or if I'm just putting on for a short amount of time. I prefer just putting on a light dust sort of mask. And then I've got some full face gas masks in the boot, but again, there's no point really going with those unless you really thought you needed them. That's a waste, isn't it, Marcus? They could have sold them. Yeah, I would hate to be working retail at the moment with how, because the thing is, often I actually have to remember that you're not meant to be standing that close to people, and obviously it helps in a lot of shops. They put markers on the floor because then it reminds you when you go in that you're meant to be keeping a distance. I mean, it certainly doesn't help either, does it, that some shops are laid out in a way that does not work with walking around sensibly. Like some of the people who came up with some of the layouts, like the one-way systems in some of these shops, have like no clue what they were thinking. There's one near me where you actually have to re-queue up past the front door where people are coming in to queue up for the till. It's like, why didn't they just change the queue system to somewhere else in the shop? But no, you actually have to cross over people. It's like, that's not hygienic, is it? But I've seen some shops that have done it pretty well, where they've got a one-way system where if you just want to quickly get something and go out, you can like sort of shortcut some of it. Or if you want to, take a route that sort of snakes around the shop, you can do. But yeah, the shops that do the really weird designs of like the queue for the tills crosses with the queue to go in the shop, like what are they thinking? Maybe, Joseph, because you're dressed in full riot gear and an S10, even though that seems pretty sensible right now with all the COVID and the riot shit and protest shit going on all across the world. But yeah, that's the main thing I'd like to see improved in a lot of places, is make a far more sensible queuing system if they are going to do the one-way thing. Because yeah, some of the local like shops near me have just completely dropped the ball, in my opinion, on how they've laid it out. But yeah, I still can't get over on the shops the fact that you literally have to walk to the back of the shop when you go through the door, but to queue up, you have to re-queue up where the people queuing up to go through the door are. What sort of riot gear have you got then, Gretchen? What's Lysol? I tested it out with like common bathroom sprays. Is Lysol a brand of bathroom spray? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure in some places, AJ, it's even worse. But I just find it funny that some of these shops have put all this tape down, They go like, oh, you need to stand 2 meters apart, but then you have to queue across where people are entering the shop anyway, so you're not 2 meters apart. Oh, it's like Dettol. I think, is it TCP is still my favorite smelling one? The like disinfectant. That's cool, Gretchen. But yeah, I got that new vest recently, but that wasn't so much for riot stuff. It was just because it was for a good price on the compact police vests. You know, the ones where you just wear it under a jacket, that are a lot more compact. So that's a lot more comfortable than I have one. Probably not on a cold day, but it is quite comfortable for just going under a jacket. Yeah, I mean, the Spaziani is quite a step up from the Polish MC one, but the Polish MC one is just kind of one of those cool old civil defense classics. You shouldn't wear anything under a gas mask, Daily Bioshock. As we were saying before in the stream, you can wear stuff over a gas mask. Like, you could put a surgical mask on top of a gas mask. The Spaziani TR2002 is an Italian panoramic gas mask, Benny. I would show it you, but mine's in my car, in the car boot, because I like it. But yeah, I suppose that's one of the things AJ actually saying that. But there was in my local shop, one of them, there was a big fuss about cleaning trolleys, but nobody's doing it. So basically, unless you brought your own sanitizer and wiped a trolley down with it, nobody's cleaning them after other people have pushed them around, you know. Weirdest thing I EDC. When I sometimes have a Geiger counter on me, that's probably the weirdest thing to EDC. At the moment, though, I'm not EDCing all that much stuff just because with all the lockdown stuff, I've not been out that often. So I'm kind of just going out more with, you know, stuff on regarding what I'm doing. In the boot, Marcus, no, it's absolutely fine for that. Most old military masks, or even modern military masks, are designed to work from minus temperatures all the way up to like 60, 70 Celsius or something. And my car never gets to 70 Celsius in the boot. The car boot doesn't actually get that warm because it's got one of those things on it, you know, where the car boot window is, for Americans, the boot is the trunk, I think you call it. The window on the hatchback is actually above that kind of like, you know, thing that goes up and down, like the fabric layer, like the felty fabric layer. So the boot is actually quite cool even on a hot day when you open the boot up. Like the inside of the car isn't, but the actual boot is a lot cooler than the car. But I think that's just because there's no glass windows directly onto the boot sort of thing. Yeah, I don't blame you, Hype. It's a good thing. Is the main thing I wish I would remember to EDC at the moment. I keep forgetting to EDC it is a pen, especially because people, even when they're taking virus precautions, will give you a pen to use and then they'll put it back in their pocket. So you're both kind of sharing germs doing that. But yeah, I really need to keep remembering to take my own pen on me because I actually feel bad whenever I have to use, you know, like a store's pen, especially because I know they're not cleaning them as well, you know, both for my sake and other people's sake. I personally wouldn't recommend that Daily Bioshock. There's things like that that might work, but you're kind of pushing it if you want those to work. I don't see what the point really is of wearing a balaclava under a gas mask. I worry if you had a box of infinite storage, Doska, because that seems like there'd be a black hole or something in it. You know, what would happen if you fell into that box? Would you ever get out? Thank you, X-Sync. Well, the thing is, I don't really think I've done anything all that special. All I said is, look, here's a strange hobby, collecting CBRN gear. Let's talk about how CBRN gear works. But, you know, maybe I'm being modest with that, but it's just more that the thing I actually think I've done a better job of is just people in real life I know I've just given out masks to. Like, no, you don't need to pay me anything for this. You can keep it if you want to, you know, just wear it if you're going out and, you know, might otherwise be endangered. Yeah, that's a good idea, Hype. Yeah. But, yeah, interestingly, I was watching a Dr. John Campbell video earlier because I hadn't watched a load of his videos in a while, just because everything with COVID was getting so monotonous and similar. And yeah, it was the one about the Black Death, the plague coming back about in China. Although he makes a very good point in that video, which I think a lot of people forget when they think about the plague. It's bacteria. You can treat it with antibiotics. It's nowhere near as scary as it was, like hundreds of years ago, when you were basically like a goner if you got the plague. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, but yeah, he did make the rational point in that video that, lots of people seem to forget that the plague does pop up pretty much every year now and again in small numbers. It's just that people can be treated with antibiotics so it doesn't spread, and sanitary conditions are better, and we know how viruses and bacteria spread. So it's not like, you get all the weird sort of theories on how they thought they would protect themselves that did nothing. If you go on my channel, Janus, and you search gas mask, you'll probably find out. There's probably a lot. I don't know. Hello, Keaton. What, the French one? The yellow one or the black one, Keaton? I hope not. I think influenza-like viruses are a lot scarier, actually, than flu because they're viruses, and we're saying with a virus, other than being able to kill it on surfaces, it's a lot scarier because you can't really treat them effectively. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a factor, Gretchen, isn't it? Antibiotic resistance is a scary thing, especially with a lot of factory farming and, over-prescription of antibiotics. And yeah, that is actually a really scary problem because that will literally be where stuff that we've not had to worry about for, decades comes back and could start killing people again because, oh, wow, everybody's, like immune, the bacteria is immune to antibiotics now because doctors gave people so many half courses they didn't finish. Yeah, that's the experience I had over here. This is the story loads of people hate me sharing. But I had an ingrown toenail. So the first time I had the ingrown toenail, went to the doctors. They said, yeah, that's an ingrown toenail. They referred me to a thing fairly quickly. They cut the bit out and they put a little bit of acid on the nail bed. It was meant to stop it growing back. Problems, they didn't put enough acid on the nail bed. So the ingrown toenail immediately starts just regrowing as soon as the nail could regrow. I go to the doctors, and the doctors are literally like, here's some antibiotics because you've obviously got an infection, but it's not ingrown enough that will refer you to have it taken out. Because, we have socialized healthcare, which I'm glad about. Because obviously, if you only had the option of private, then you have to pay stupid money. So they were literally just kept saying to me, oh, I know you're in pain because you've got a nail growing into your toe, but and it keeps getting infected, but just have another course of antibiotics. So that was when I literally just took pliers to the fucker. I had a drink, put some rubbing alcohol on it, got some pliers, ripped the fucker out. And then when they eventually did refer me to see the, like surgeon person to have it done, they said, how come it looks so cleanly cut out when it was meant to be ingrown? I was like, oh, I did that myself. And they said, the NHS would never recommend self-surgery, but you did quite a good job of it. But yeah, it's just, I think when something like that gets so painful after you've had it for like months and nobody's doing anything about it, yeah, you're like, fuck that, I'm just getting some pliers. But yeah, but that I think does speak to the problem of antibiotic resistant, the over prescription of antibiotics, where if you've got a problem like that and the doctors would rather just keep giving you course after course of antibiotics rather than addressing the root of the problem, you've got a bit of an issue there. Ah, cool. I've only got the yellow one, so that's kind of interesting. You've got the original black style one. All right, Henry. The thing is, at the moment, we don't really need any more mods, in all honesty. Yeah, I don't blame you, Tev. I mean, isn't it technically a verruca if it's on the foot, not a wart? But yeah, because I know you used to have to put like stuff on them, didn't you? Like there's like acidic stuff to burn through them. Yeah, I've luckily not had any warts or verrucas in like decades. Well, like 10, 15 years now. I used to get them quite commonly when I was at like primary school and we did PE, I think. But since then, I've like never got them again. I mean, mods can technically get away spamming Doska because they're mods, but I'm gonna go off soon, so I've gone on longer than I said I was gonna go on the stream, but it's been quite fun. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it's getting very not safe for work, but Yeah, the thing is, Hype, I definitely would agree that most people wouldn't need to maybe worry about those things, but it's still one of those things I think is kind of worrying, you know, that lots of doctors kind of take the attitude of, you know, like keep prescribing a drug rather than fixing the root of a problem. Depends how strong it is, Keaton. If it's a strong enough sample, it will cause it to blank out. If it's not very strong, then it will read it fine. I've been talking all stream, other than when I've been reading comments in my head. So that seems a bit of a strange comment. Right, Alma says, before you go, where do you get your swords? From I'm rolling the dice on Cold Steel's Cutlass this week. Originally was going to go Australian Handforged by the shop. Most of my swords I bought recently have been from Southern Swords. I'm trying to think if there's places I've bought them from before that isn't that. Blades and Bows when they used to be around. I think I've used things like the Night Shop before. Obviously, the falchion I had was custom made, but Southern Swords is the best place I can currently think of that sells swords because they're a reasonable price on there and they can sharpen them for you. Yes, I agree, Ines. That would be a good idea, but sadly, I'm not a politician. Hype says, funny thing is, in the absence of antibiotic, normal bacteria will outcompete multi-drug resistant bacteria due to the sheer metabolic cost of resistant traits for reducing fitness. Right, I have no idea what you just said there, but okay, that sounds very scientific. But yeah, I will. The thing is, Peach, they've done the things I've ordered from them that have been sharpened. They've done a very good job of it. As in, you know, it's very consistently sharpened. It's not like where you get some sharpening jobs done, and one bit the blade's really sharp and another bit's really blunt. They seem to have done a really good, consistent job on all of them. But yeah. Anyway, so thanks everybody. Thanks for everybody that did a super chat as well and everything. This has been quite a good stream actually, just because it was one of those ones where I didn't think I'd be streaming today, and then thought kind of like, fuck it, I kind of want to do a stream, and then it's ended up being quite a good one. But yeah, I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream for at least some of it at 9 o'clock. So see you all then if anybody goes onto his stream.